Welcome back. All right, so I do want to do a video talking about our trip. I want to do one on the hockey channel as well as on this channel. Intending to do that today. Wife's not feeling 100%. So instead, I'm going to talk about wrestling here, and we'll see if she's feeling better later, so we can, discuss that. The hockey ends early-ish tonight, so maybe we do that tonight after all the hockey's done. But either way, I want to talk about wrestling because we're into WrestleMania season, and I did watch parts of the Rumble. I watched as much as I could, keeping in mind it's on a Saturday where hockey's very busy, but I did watch parts of the Rumble as I could. And I enjoyed Cody Rhodes winning and pointing at Roman, and I thought it makes some sense. Finish the story. They've built this up for years that Cody, winning the title his dad never did. And then The Rock came in and took his place. And see, the internet's been melting down since. I'm torn. I'm torn from a business perspective. So I understand what TKO Holdings is doing here. The Rock is a huge draw. Now, the tickets are already sold out for the event, but they're likely thinking about how many people are going to watch the event, what the streaming numbers are going to look like, and The Rock will drive that, right? Now, the trick is obviously The Rock's not going to win the title against Roman Reigns. At least I don't think they'd have The Rock win the title against Roman Reigns, which puts a bit of a damper on the excitement for the match for me. Because if it's Cody against Roman, then it's like, okay, Cody should win. What's going to happen? Are we going to have an implosion of the bloodline at Mania? And it would be great if we did, right? Like an implosion of the bloodline at Mania. It's long overdue. I'm tired of every Roman Reigns title defense, meaning that Jimmy's going to come out or Solo's going to come out, and they're going to interfere, and that's it. And so it's got very predictable. I think the title reign has gone on long enough. I think that at some point in time it kind of looks ridiculous. Now, I want to say this. A lot of the arguments people are using about Roman Reigns and how he's basically, part-time, he doesn't wrestle very often. Same argument I made in the 80s about Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan wrestled a very similar schedule. He was not on the show every week. He did not wrestle very often. He'd be in tag matches where he'd get protected. Like it was hard back in the 80s to be one of the few. It felt like I was one of the few that did not enjoy Hulk Hogan's title reign because he was never on TV. So it was part of the reason. There were others I wasn't a fan of Hogan's either. But when you got actual workers like Bret Hart holding the title or Shawn Michaels, it felt like it was a much better move to have somebody who's going to be on TV every week holding the belt. Look at Seth Rollins. Seth is on all the time. And even though Seth's dealing with his own injury issues, he's been there a lot. Now, of course, with CM Punk being hurt and he's out until after Mania as well, a lot of talk about whether or not The Rock versus Roman Reigns is sort of a pivot to that. It doesn't sound like those are necessarily related. But the wrestling fan for me, so understanding from a business perspective that The Rock versus Roman Reigns is the big one, right? That's going to get mainstream interest. But the wrestling fan says, but wait a minute, Cody Rhodes has earned this spot. He's earned this chance. They've protected Cody for the last year to keep him built up as a main eventer in order to go after Roman. And so it sucks. It sucks to see Cody point at Roman hold up the title, and now we're not going to get that match. There's talk about whether or not he might get shoehorned in. Maybe they'll make it a triple threat match. I don't know if that necessarily happens. I don't know if that's a better setup. I don't know. But I get why people are upset. I agree. I think that having guys come in as part timers, or in this case, you have a part time champion against a guy who hasn't wrestled for a while in WWE. And I'm sure The Rock will bring his A game, but The Rock is not going to be the wrestler now that he was back in the late 90s. So you're not exactly going to get the Rocky Maivia we saw back in the day. You're going to get what The Rock is now. So it's going to be a shorter match. It's not going to be the same work rate that we would have seen from a 20, because you don't have that, right? If you're The Rock. So we would have got a better match in all likelihood from Cody Rhodes too. And again, I will echo what others have said that I've seen online. Cody should have won the belt last year. I do feel like holding a belt on one guy just for the sake of keeping the belt on that one guy, it makes the title stale. So, but I'll come back to that. There is a bit of an issue when it comes to Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley is this huge megastar now, and everybody loves her. Everybody thinks she's great. I don't know how much longer she can be a heel in Judgment Day when everybody thinks she's great, and I think she's great. You look at like her whispering in Dom's ear. I guarantee you, I don't know if they're cookie recipes. I don't know if it's a joke she heard backstage. I don't know if she says ridiculous things to him when she whispers in his ear. I'd love to know what she says. That whole relationship's fantastic. Judgment Day, there was talk about them having, the same kind of level of storyline as the Bloodline. But they're not serious like the Bloodline. Like it's not this, so it's a completely different experience, and it has allowed their personalities to come out, and we like Rhea. So she can cheat all she wants. It doesn't matter. People are still going to be like, I'm leaning towards Rhea. So we saw Nia Jax attack her this week. I feel like Judgment Day might be teetering. Like, I thought, Priest will leave. Drew McIntyre will come in as the new, heavy for the group, the bodyguard of the group, so to speak. But with Drew McIntyre's contract status potentially being, he's on the outs, if he does leave, then you still have this issue with Judgment Day. And I'm going to come down to this. So the Rhea issue here is connected to this. R-Truth is the funniest wrestler I've ever seen. I don't think anybody else is close. I don't think there's anybody else in wrestling that you can see as both being the light-hearted joke of the wrestler and you want to see him win. And that's the thing with R-Truth. I think if there was a storyline, coming back to Roman Reigns, if there was a storyline where on an episode of SmackDown, The Rock comes out, he distracts Roman, R-Truth upsets him and wins the title, I don't know that anybody'd be upset with that. R-Truth is absolutely fantastic. And his storyline of giving out t-shirt money and selling knockoff t-shirts, it's great. He just inserts himself in Judgment Day. He tried to join the Women's Rumble and then realized it was all women in the there are so many things. And then when he came out for the Rumble and he goes out like this for the tag with Dom and there's not even a tag rope there. This is absolute genius. So either Ron Killings is a genius comedically at a wrestling level, and wrestling comedy is tough to pull off. There are some wrestling comedy skits going back to the 80s that are just pure and total cringe and were never funny. So the fact that R-Truth is legitimately funny when it pertains to wrestling is very, very noticeable and notable. But it does kind of make the Judgment Day faction, which already seemed kind of more lighthearted than what we see with Bloodline stuff, it does kind of erode, I think, that mystique around Judgment Day. And so I do wonder how much longer that group's going to last. Bayley. I have to talk about Bayley. Bayley, the way they slow played her face turn, perfect. And when she turned around and said to the three Japanese ladies behind her who were joking, I understand you in Japanese, or I know, depending on your translation there. But just the looks on their faces, the fact that Io seems kind of a little bit torn on what they're doing once she's confronted with it, I think it's great, and I think they're gonna tear the house down at Mania. Bayley has really become a fantastic wrestler. She's become one of my favorites. I didn't see that coming, and they also turned her face again without bringing back the hugger persona, without making her like a cutesy baby face who's always smirking and smiling. And everything she said in the ring was A, true, and B, it showed a lot of passion from her. So I think Bayley's promo skills have improved. She misspeaks here and there, but you get a word out of place here and there. It's no big deal. I think Bayley's fantastic, and so I would look for her to knock off Io Sky at Mania, and fans are going to love her. I don't know how long she's going to last as a face. Just going to throw that out there. She may not be a face for that long, but she's going to be a face for now. And I wanted to talk about Gunther as well. The promo that he cut this week on Jey Uso, man, that was great. And I think Gunther, I think that whether you keep him with Imperium or you don't, I think Gunther needs a title reign that's higher than Intercontinental title. So you can have Jey beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title, and then you have Gunther after Mania target your world champion. Whether he would target, say, Cody Rhodes on SmackDown, I know it's The Rock versus Roman. But if he does end up targeting whoever the champion is on Raw or SmackDown, whatever he ends up deciding to do, I think he's got all the talent in the world, and I think that he's earned it. You know, this record long title reign with the IC belt, which is long overdue. I'm kind of surprised they didn't take the Honky Tonk Man off the books way before this, because the Honky Tonk Man's title reign was not exactly prestigious. It was. I was so happy when that title reign came to an end because some of those title defenses, I was like, seriously, did he just get disqualified again? Oh man. But anyways, Gunther, fantastic. And I'm going to say this too. He speaks well enough that I'm not sure why he hasn't been doing the talking the whole time. Maybe he's been working on that. Maybe he's been working A on his English and B on his promos. But yeah, he was great. He tore Jey Uso down very, very quickly and very, very well. And yeah, I thought that was done really, really nicely. And Jey Uso getting his spot now where he very well could be a credible Intercontinental Champion. What about Jimmy? Because Jimmy did the face turn and then immediately went back heel, and we forgot all about it. So when does Jimmy get his turn? And Solo Sikoa, who is legitimately a fantastic wrestler, he needs his turn as well. Maybe it's time for the bloodline to come to an end, but we'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event that you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.